What is up, YouTube? Thatsy here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys the long-awaited return of my top 5 Pokemon for every type series. We're on the road to Viridian City because today we are going to be taking a look at ground-type Pokemon. Now, ground-type Pokemon are... It's one of the types I actually haven't covered yet. I think I've covered like 11 or 12 types. I've covered most of them, and I think the big ones that I still have left to cover are ground, flying, rock, and I think one more. And I think we're gonna make exceptions and make meme lists for like dragon, fairy, darksteel. So don't worry, we still plan on getting to all of them. But like I was saying, ground types are a definite major part of the metagame. They're probably one of the best types in the game because they nullify electric attacks. They're some of the best stealth rocks users in the game, and there's some of the best leads in the game. Like if you were to just take ground types out of the game, we'd have a completely different metagame. So hopefully you guys like the list. Remember to leave a comment in the comment section below with what type you want to see me cover next, and I will most definitely get to it in a few days after we get enough comments to pretty much have a pretty decent poll. So yeah, ground types. There's not really that many fully evolved ground types, probably less than you think, because a lot of the ground types that you think of are more commonly like rock types. Like obviously like Aerodactyl, for example, is a rock type, but it's not ground type. And so another one, let's think of like another like rock type, like Alolan Golem, for example. Alolan Golem, for example, is not a ground type. It is a rock electric, as you can see in the bottom right below. So a lot of the Pokemon you would think are ground types at first glance aren't actually ground types, so it really does limit the amount of actual ground types in the game. So I've decided to condense them all here. We have Marowak, Sandslash, Nidoqueen, Rhydon, Nidoking, Alolan Dugtrio, Golem, and where's regular Dugtrio? Where did he go? Where did he go? Which way did he go? I have a regular Dugtrio. I don't know why. There it is. Let's go. Regular Dugtrio. I'm not going to leave you out, my guy. Regular Dugtrio is a good Pokemon. I can't make a good list without it. So yeah, this is every ground type in the game. Pokemon like, Kabutops, Omastar, those things are rock types. They're not ground types. Very similar, but there is a difference. Like a rock type, for example, would have weaknesses to like fighting versus a ground type Pokemon would have weaknesses to like ice. And so there are slight differences between the two, but more often than not, you do see a lot of common Pokemon like Rhydon and Golem, for example, that are rock and ground. So they have like just a ton of weaknesses spread across the board. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty hard making a top 5 list out of this. And the Pokemon that we're actually gonna be starting off with is probably not gonna be one that you would think. And it's actually going to be, dun dun dun, survey says it's actually gonna be Rhydon. Let's take a look at this list and see. You guys probably thought Rhydon would be like top 2, top 3. Rhydon's so good, but listen to me, hear me out, and I'll show you guys why Rhydon is actually number 5. And so we're actually going to take the team out that I was working with here. I was using this on stream in battles. If you guys are interested in watching battle streams, you guys can always check out my Twitch in the comment section, or sorry, in the description below. We stream every single day. Let's go battles. Ton of meme teams, ton of fun stuff. Great way to have a good time. So like I said, Rhydon is number 5, and let's talk about Rhydon's moves. Let's talk about some of its stats and potential natures the thing can get, which is why it's actually number 5, and it's not like a lot higher on the list. So note that I have an adamant Rhydon, right? I have an adamant Rhydon, and I really think like impish, careful, those are all great natures, but remember, we want to hit pretty much as hard as possible with this thing, because one of the good things Rhydon has going for it is it has a really, really good attack stat. It has great defenses, somewhat decent speed. It's going to be able to outspeed Pokemon like Snorlax and stuff. But what makes Rhydon better than some other Pokemon on this list is that it gets Stealth Rock. Like, they all get Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock is like the name of the game for these ground types. But Rhydon gets Dragon Tail. And Dragon Tail is not a move that the rest of those things learn. So what you can do with Rhydon is you can set Stealth Rocks, and then you can just spam Dragon Tail, which is going to force your opponent's Pokemon to switch with a random Pokemon on their party. Remember, every single time they switch in with something, they take that juicy Stealth Rocks damage, and it makes Rhydon able to do some things that not a lot of the other Pokemon on this list can do. Rock Slide also, great stab. Earthquake, great stab. Also, this thing can get like Mega Horn. Rhydon gets just a ton of really useful moves. It has just enough bulk to be useful, and you still see Rhydon in competitive teams to this day. Like Rhydon, even though I said like it's the top 5, it's the 5th best ground type, this Pokemon is still busted. You still see me use it all the time. This is the first Pokemon that I ever actually like soft reset for and like, caught a bunch of Pokemon for in the game. So I really do like Rhydon, but we're going to be comparing it to something like Golem. I'm just going to say it right now. Golem is not in the top 5. But Golem plays a very similar role to Rhydon. They have very similar stats. Golem's not number 4. Golem's like number 6, but I just want to compare it here. So if you're looking for like the top 6, it's Golem. But Golem, again, you want to be like Adamant, Brave, or something like that. But note that it gets a very similar moveset, but where's the detail? Where's the tech choice? Where's the thing that makes it stand out from something else? Like Superpower is not a standout move. It's kind of just what I have on here, but it doesn't learn Dragon Tail. And so not having Dragon Tail, I think, makes it so like you can kind of get set up on. Like Dragon Tail for Rhydon isn't just a move that says like, hey, you're switching out, I'm gonna use my Stealth Rocks. It's like, hey, stop Calm Minding in my face. Hey, you know, you're setting up all like Swords Dances. I don't like that. Dragon Tail that out of here. Dragon Tail is also 60 base power move, so it's very, very strong. It can break subs and stuff like that, and so I really do like Rhydon with Dragon Tail, and I think having access to that move gives it like a +1 advantage to something like Golem, who Golem could technically be seen as having better stats, because Golem I think is actually just a little bit faster than Rhydon if I'm not mistaken, and its stats are more evenly distributed to be able to do a lot more things, but not having Dragon Tail just kills it. Remember, when you're picking a Pokemon for the team, what you want to pick first is the moveset you want, then after you decide the type of moveset, the type of Pokemon you want to put in a team, after that, then you decide on your typing, then you decide on like your natures and what have you. But yeah, movesets are the most important thing in Let's Go, so I really do recommend Rhydon as number 5. And you're thinking like, if Rhydon's number 5, who else is gonna be better than Rhydon? Like, obviously, like, you know, one of the Nidos has to be better than Rhydon at least, right? But like, what else? You know, there's not enough Pokemon. There's only like 8 of them here, right? Sandslash is actually gonna be number 4, and I know you guys are gonna fight me on this, and you're like, I know Sandslash is not better than Rhydon. I've seen people use Sandslash. I've seen people use Rhydon. Rhydon is used so much more than Sandslash. You gotta hear me out here. Sandslash, we're gonna add it back to the team. Sandslash is really, really good. What makes Sandslash stand out from, actually, let's see if you guys can figure it out. But yeah, Adamant Sandslash, I'd really recommend like an Adamant or an Impish one to increase your defense, or a Careful one depending on the team that you really need. But I just have an Adamant one here because that's what I have. And again, very cookie cutter moveset. You got the Stealth Rocks, you got the Stab Earthquake, you got Rock Slide Hit Flying types, and you have X's here. Note that Sandslash can also get like Swords Dance and a couple other really, really good moves. I've seen Sandslashes with Toxic, I've seen Sandslashes with Sub. Sandslash gets a ton of cool moves that we're going to look at in the TM section when we move on to that near the end of the video. But what sets Sandslash apart from Pokemon like Rhydon, from Pokemon like Golem, from Pokemon like Alolan Dugtrio, Nidoqueen, Marowak, all those things, this one's a solo ground type, which means unlike Rhydon, it doesn't have a 4 times weakness to water. If you scald a Sandslash with something, it's probably just going to live. And being able to live at no matter what the HP, sometimes you need to get Stealth Rock, sometimes you need to hit an Earthquake, sometimes you need to hit an Exazor. And being able to live in those situations versus like a Starmie or like a Venus using Mega Drain, not having that 4 times weakness, or just the addition of like other weaknesses, like I said, the Nidos have weaknesses to Psychic. Sandslash ain't weak to Psychic. He'll eat a Psychic from pretty much anything if it's at full HP. And so being able to hold on, I think, gives Sandslash a lot more usefulness and a lot more like versatility than you would actually think of at first glance. So while Sandslash is not nearly as popular as Rhydon, as the meta evolves, you're going to start seeing a lot more Sandslashes. We already see a ton of Alolan Sandslash because it does kind of similar things. It's like there's a lot of Pokemon that can't really do that much against Alolan Sandslash. You pretty much need a fire type attack to one-shot that thing, right? And so it always lives. It can set up a Swords Dance. It can go for Ice Shards on the Alolan variant. It can go for, like I said, like Stealth Rocks, Earthquakes, just a bunch of cool stuff. Sandslash is an amazing Pokemon that we're going to see a lot more usefulness out of as the meta develops, because people are going to start realizing that their Venusaur Comfort picks, their Starmie Comfort picks, they can't one-shot this thing and they can't stop it from setting up rocks. And so these teams that use those Starmies and Venusaurs to crush the Rhydons, because they know that they'll be able to stop the rocks with that. You can't stop rocks with that, which means they're going to have to change their strategy. It's going to cause the meta to develop, and all because of, like I said, Sandslash is just a solo ground type. Very, very good, highly underrated. And also, remember, while we're here, I want you guys to be making your own lists and see if your list actually, see if your own lists correlate with mine. See like where you rank your Pokemon and stuff like that. Like, I want to know. Leave those in the comments below. I want to see if anyone gets the same list as me. So we're actually going to be moving on to number 3. Now, I said before that mono ground types are really good. Like, Dugtrio's a mono ground type. Regular Marowak's a mono ground type. Those aren't technically cutting it for this one. The third place, I know you guys are going to hate me because a lot of you guys would put this one at number 1. It's actually going to be Nidoqueen at number 3. Nidoqueen coming in hot at number 3. And you know what we're actually going to do? Like I said, Golem was the Phantom's 6th mon, so since you can hold 6 Pokemon, we're just going to put Golem in the party. I think that's fair, because when we look at the TM section near the end of the video, we're going to want to look at Golem as well. Let me see if I did this right. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, Nidoqueen coming in at number 3. Remember, Nidoqueen is a very good Pokemon. You've seen me use this Eevee a ton lately. Nidoqueen is a very popular pick because it's the more bulky variant of the 2 Nido Pokemon, Nidoqueen, Nidoking. I really do recommend an Impish variant so you can live like Earthquakes from like Aerodactyls, Earthquakes from pretty much anything, physical attacks from pretty much anything. But I have seen people running like Jolly variants. I have seen people running Careful variants. And also, Nidoqueen doesn't have to be a physical attack. Like, I'm talking about a physical Nidoqueen. But you can actually go like Special Nidoqueen and use like Ice Beam, Super Fang, and stuff like that. Very, very good Pokemon. The only problem with it is that it shares Poison typing. It has a Poison typing along with Ground, and so it takes super effective damage from Psychic attacks. So you have to have like a Dark type or like multiple bulky Psychic Pokemon to be able to switch in on Psychics if you want to use Nidoqueen. But what Nidoqueen excels at, better than any Pokemon in the game, is that it gets Stealth Rock and Dragon Tail. And like I already said, that was just enough to get Rhydon in the top 5. Now, Rhydon has really big weaknesses to, you know, water, grass. Those are 4 times super effective. Nidoqueen does not have those weaknesses 4 times. It's 2 times weak against water. It's actually not weak against grass. It's just neutral damage here. But Nidoqueen is just going to be like a +1 variant version of Rhydon. But also, like, Nidoqueen gets a bunch of really good moves. Nidoqueen can also get moves like Taunt. It has a pretty good speed base. Nidoqueen can also get Super Fang, which is going to cut your opponent's stats, or their HP in half. Nidoqueen gets a Toxic, remember, and since it's a Poison type, it cannot miss Toxic. Poison types cannot miss Toxic. It's been a mechanic for a really, really long time. And so being able to not miss your Toxics, be able to bulk out pretty much anything other than a raw Psychic and go for Dragon Tail, really, really valuable. You got the Stabbed Earthquake. It's probably one of the better Stealth Rock setters. When we eventually are going to make a video talking about like the top 5 Stealth Rock users in the meta, you can expect Nidoqueen to rate very highly on that list because it's probably the best. I would say Nidoqueen is the best bulky Stealth Rock user. A lot of the other Stealth Rock users that are really good because they're aggressive. Nidoqueen is the best one for like tanking a hit, putting up Stealth Rocks, analyzing the situation, and still having enough health to do something after. But Nidoqueen just gets a ton of good moves. You can put like Ice Punch on it, Taunt, Super Fang, Sub. This thing gets so many options, and it's unfortunate that it's 3rd, but you guys are going to see as we round out the rest of the top 5 that Nidoqueen, it just barely falls short in a couple other situations. So, moving on. Who's better than Nidoqueen? Nidoqueen's like one of the best Pokemon in the game. Like, seriously, Nidoqueen's busted. But I actually think Nidoking's actually just a little bit better. And now, obviously, you see Nidoqueen, Nidoking. What's the difference? A lot of people always ask. A lot of people ask me, what's the difference between Nidoqueen and Nidoking? Nidoking is going to be packing an 85 base speed. So, like, Nidoking, if you're Jolly, you're going to be outspeeding, you know, Jolly. You're going to be outspeeding Jolly Gyarados, timid Venusaurs, timid Blastoises. There's so many Pokemon that have like that 80, 81 base speed that you're going to be able to outspeed with Nidoking, which is amazing. Those 2 Pokemon that I just listed are things that actually check you, so being able to outspeed them is very, very good. Nidoking also has a much higher attack stat. I think it's like base 103 or something like that, so anything over like 100 base attack stat's really, really good. Obviously, Nidoking's going to be a lot more frail, but what Nidoking excels at is, because it's a ground poison type, as long as you're not eating a Psychic, like I said, there's not really that many things that can one-shot you. Nidoking is like, whereas Nidoqueen is like a tank, Nidoking pretty much comes in like a built-in Focus Sash. Like, he's going to be able to live through any one attack one time, most of the time. Like an Earthquake from an Aerodactyl, you're going to be able to live that. Like a Scald from a Starmie, you're going to be able to live that. Those are both like super effective moves that you just live. Obviously, Nidoqueen would have like a lot more health left in the tank after that, but a Jolly Nidoking is going to be able to eat those attacks and be able to reply back accordingly with a much higher stat pool. So obviously, my set personally, I like Taunt, I like Stealth Rock. I think having a Pokemon with Taunt and Stealth Rock, with a huge 85 base speed tiering, is just so controlling, so dominant. Ice Punch is there because sometimes you want to be able to hit things that aren't on the ground. It's great for hitting Pokemon like Zapdos, like Aerodactyl. You can also hit things like Venusaur on a switch in if you want to go over that 50 or that 10% chance freeze. And you also have that stabbed EQ. But another cool thing about Nidoking is that it can also be a special attacker. Obviously, it has a lot lower special attack than attack, but if you want to go like a timid Nidoking, you could run like Thunder, Flamethrower, I think, and other bunch of really cool stuff we're going to see when we get into the TM section. Nidoking is Pokemon you can't sleep on, and in any meta where like Zapdos starts to get like really powerful, you're going to see a huge uprise in Nidoking, because Nidoking has the power to break Zapdos' sub, whereas like if we look at Nidoqueen, right, if we look at Nidoqueen, that Nidoqueen set is going to have a really hard time breaking Zapdos' sub, and they're going to be able to grind you out with like Roost and Drill Peck. So Nidoqueen's really defensive, whereas Nidoking is really offensive. And I think as long as you're playing proactive, as long as you're dictating the the rate of play, you're always going to be in the better spot in Let's Go Singles. Like, this isn't the type of metagame where you want to sit back as much. You know, there's certain situations where Nidoqueen's better. You saw like recently I uploaded like 2 weeks worth of videos with that like Muck Alolan Executor Nidoqueen core, and like I just dominated people. I just walled them out. And you can play that way, but the best way to play Let's Go Singles is to play really aggressive and proactive, and I think Nidoking is the best example of that out of the two Nidos. And so you may be wondering, what is the best ground type Pokemon? There's a few left. We got Marowak, we got regular Dugtrio. We obviously said Golem was 6th. You guys know it's Alolan Dugtrio. Alolan Dugtrio is probably top 5 best Pokemon in the game. It's the, I think it's the second best Stealth Rock setter in the game after Aerodactyl, and Alolan Dugtrio brings so much to the table. And before we get into it, you're probably thinking like, well, where's regular Dugtrio? Regular Dugtrio has so many more things to offer. It has a higher base speed. You can literally beat a Alolan Dugtrio with a regular Dugtrio. And sure you can. That's great. Like, you totally can. But there's so many more things Alolan Dugtrio does that make it so it's just so much better. Like, I don't even think there's room for Dugtrio on this list, because let's think about it. Do I think Dugtrio is better than Nidoking? Like regular Dugtrio? No, because you can KO like a regular Dugtrio with almost anything. It's like literally a glass cannon, and it doesn't have nearly as much bulk as the Alolan variant, which we'll talk about. Is it better than Nidoqueen? No, it's not. It's like a Suicide Stealth Rock's lead, and it only has 120 base speed on the on the regular Dugtrio, so it's not faster than things like, you know, any of the good Mega Alakazam can one-shot it with Psychic, Mega Mewtwo's are going to be able to beat it. Even like Melmetal can like one-shot it. Regular Dugtrio just doesn't have the usefulness. Versus like Sandslash, I'd rather send out the Sandslash, tank an attack, set up my rocks, and still have a Pokemon than use a Suicide Rocks from Dugtrio. And same thing goes for Rhydon. Like, Rhydon brings like Dragon Tail to the table, a little bit more versatility, your great matchup versus Aerodactyl. So for those of you wondering why I didn't use regular Kanto Dugtrio, it's because I don't want a Glass Cannon Stealth Rocks user. It's just not what I'm about. His attack stat's not that high. In, you know, Ultra Sun and Moon, where abilities are in the game, regular Dugtrio has Arena Trap, and I use that thing all the time. Like, you may be thinking like, we just haven't tried Dugtrio. No, I've used a lot of Dugtrio. Dugtrio is a great Pokemon when you integrate like items and abilities in the game, like Focus Sash, and the Arena Trap ability, which says as long as your opponent's Pokemon are grounded, like not flying or using Levitate, they can't switch. Dugtrio becomes an amazing Pokemon. But since those aren't in this game, it's not really that great. So we're talking again, like I said, about Alolan Dugtrio and why I think it's the best ground type Pokemon in the game. So let's talk about, let's look at its stats, let's look at its typing. Obviously, the thing that separates it mostly from, obviously it has that sick hair, so we gotta give points for the hair, right? But no, the thing that separates this thing from the Kanto Dugtrio is Alolan Dugtrio. So let's talk about Kanto Dugtrio. A Kanto Dugtrio has 120 base speed, but Alolan Dugtrio has 110. Now, what Alolan Dugtrio, I'm completely mixing my words. What Alolan Dugtrio, with the only changes to this Pokemon is it gains Steel typing, and upon gaining Steel typing, it loses 10 base speed and puts that 10 base speed in its defense slot. It's not really that important, and like I say all the time, 110 is like the threshold of being really fast. You're going to outspeed things like Charizards, Zapdoses, all the 100 base speed Pokemon. So having 110 is still fast enough. Like, having the difference between 110 to 120 is so minuscule that it's not really that important. You don't really need to be 120 to do the exact same things. And the thing that sets Alolan Dugtrio apart is that you can tank attacks. You can switch in on a Psychic and just eat it because you're a Steel type. You can switch in on a Toxic or any poison attack and just eat it. Like, let's think of how a Zapdos is supposed to fight you. Drill Peck, not very effective. Toxic doesn't work. U-Turn, not very effective. And you just slap it with Rock Slide. So this Pokemon is like the perfect counter to Zapdos. And like I said, it just has enough speed to do exactly what it wants. It's such a good Stealth Rock user. So it gets Stealth Rock, Sucker Punch, Rock Slide, Earthquake. That's the set. Now, I've seen people use this thing with like Sub, and I've seen them use it with Toxic, but this is the set. It has just enough speed, and the reason we really use this Pokemon is like, let's say I'm fighting against a Mewtwo. If Mewtwo's going to Psychic me, the fact that the Psychic's not very effective against my Steel typing means I'm just going to tank the Psychic, be able to reply back with an Earthquake. If the Mewtwo's taken any damage before the Earthquake, I can then just Sucker Punch, and now we have an Alolan Dugtrio Pokemon that's kind of taken out a Mewtwo. That's ridiculous. Like, that's so good. The fact that it can tank attacks from Psychic types, which is the most dominant offensive type in this format, that's just crazy. Also note that he takes 4th to reduce damage from Stealth Rocks, like Ground and Steel. Like, that is just so good. I can't recommend this Pokemon enough. If anyone's making a serious competitive team where they want to be aggressive, or even if they want to have like 2 or 3 walls, but like an Aerodactyl and like maybe another Sweeper, like Alolan Dugtrio is just the way to go. If you want to use any Stealth Rock user other than Aerodactyl that you can just splash on a team, I highly recommend this one. It's going to automatically win you matches versus Zapdos. It's going to automatically win you matches versus like Toxic Stallers and stuff like that. Like, this thing has a great matchup versus like Muck, Chansey. There's so many things this thing is just great at fighting, and I really do recommend Alolan Dugtrio. So hopefully you guys like the list. We're going to be looking at TM sections. We're going to be looking at what TMs all these Pokemon can learn. And before I even get into this, I want to say that you need to have your Alolan Dugtrio be Jolly Nature, because 110, while it is enough base speed to outspeed stuff, you kind of need to be at least that fast, otherwise you're going to start getting outsped by things that, like Charizards, for example. You don't want to get outsped by a Charizard. You want to be able to outspeed it and Rock Slide it in the face. So, got to be 110, and you got to be Jolly. So, Blizzard, not really that important. Obviously, like I said, the Nidos can learn special attacks, so really good to see that they can actually, like, tech that if they really want to, but it's not something I highly recommend. Brick Break, a lot of these guys can learn Brick Break, and we always respect the ability of Brick Break. Brick Break's really good, unlike Sandslash, where I said you have, like, that extra slot. Instead of X's, you can put Brick Break to stop your opponent from setting up screens. No one's set up with Calm Mind. Dark Pulse is not great. Drill Run's great on a lot of these guys. You can see 4 of them can learn it, and you may be thinking, like, why would you run Drill Run? You can run Earthquake. Well, Drill Run has a high crit ratio. Sure, it's a little bit weaker, sure, it can miss, but it's a single target move. And in doubles, if you don't want to Earthquake your partner, that's the situation in where you use Drill Run. So if you're ever using any of these guys in doubles, Drill Run is a great tech option. Dragon Pulse isn't that good, even though most of these guys can learn it. Obviously, they're on ground types. They're all learning Dig. That's kind of funny. All of them get Earthquake, of course. Facades okay. Like I said, Fire Blast is pretty good, especially on like the 2 Nidos, because they have like a pseudo really good special attack stat. Sometimes, you know, obviously these things can use Stabbed Earthquake against Melmetals, but sometimes if you know they're going to switch in on you, and they're expecting like a Rock Slide or a Stealth Rocks, and they're going to be switching their Melmetal, you could like slap them with a Fire Blast on the switch in on their Melmetal. It's just game winning. It's just game winning. It's so good. Same thing goes for like Flamethrower. Flash Cannon, Dugtrio can learn it. That's the only move different that Alolan Dugtrio can learn over Kanto Dugtrio, is that it can learn Flash Cannon. Don't use it. It's a special attack. It sucks this thing doesn't get like Iron Head. It sucks Iron Head isn't in the game, but, you know, oh well. No one's learning Foul Play. Ice Punch, already got a Nidoking. I recommend it on Nidoqueen as well, but it's not something you actually need. The reason why you want to run it on Nidoking, like I said, it's great against Zapdos, great against Aerodactyl, but it's also really good against Dragonite, who, if you're Jolly Nature, you do outspeed. After Stealth Rocks, a Jolly Nidoking will one-shot a Dragonite with an Ice Punch, so highly recommend that. Same goes for Ice Beam. Like, it's pretty much just there for Dragonites. Helping Hand's good in doubles. Light Screen, no one's learning it. Mega Drain, no TY. Outrage, while Outrage does have that big 120 base, it's not a move that I recommend on any of these Pokemon, because it traps you in using it for like 3 turns, 2 to 3 turns, and it's just not that great. Payday, no TY. Reflect, the Nidos can learn Reflect. A lot of people actually sleep on that. I've fought against Reflect Nidoqueen like 1 time. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, I was leading Aerodactyl, and I taunted it, and it reflected, and I was like, fuck, if that guy got the Reflect off, I don't think I could have KO'd it. So, don't sleep on Reflect and Light Screens. They're pretty strong. Psychic, no one's learning it. Protect's good in doubles. Playoff's not that great anyways. Rest, Rock Slide, we can see a lot of these guys are actually packing Rock Slide, because a lot of these guys are Rock type as well. Rock Slide's really good, but I really only like using Rock Slide unless it's stabbed, like on the Golem and the Rhydon. Unless you're faster than the opponent, so you can go for that 30% chance flinch. That's the one thing that sets Rock Slide apart from like the Ice Punches of the game, is it has that 30% chance flinch. Roost would be cool if any of those guys got it. Same goes for Scald. Sludge Bomb, the two Nidos can learn it. If you're going to be going a special variant of the Nidos, I highly recommend Sludge Bomb because it's going to be your strongest stabbed special attack. 90 base, 8 no slouch. Same thing as like Ice Beam, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt type stuff, but it's your stab attack, so you kind of need it. Shadow Ball, same thing goes for the Nidos. You don't really see that all that often. In more situations, even if Shadow Ball would be like super effective, you'd be doing more damage with like an Earthquake or something. Not more, but like this would be super effective into something like a Starmie, for example. Like let's say you're hitting a Starmie or a Mewtwo or an Alakazam. It'd be super effective, goes up to 160 versus Earthquake stabbed is just like a 150. And also note that those Pokemon usually have higher special defenses than defenses anyways. So you'd be better off doing more damage with Earthquake against those type of Pokemon. No one's learning Self-Destruct except for Golem, and that's why he's not on the list. Seismic Toss, all of them can learn, it's not that great. Solar Beam's not that hot. They all get Stealth Rock because they're absolutely amazing. I talked briefly, I think, about Sub on most of these Pokemon. Great move, probably one of the best moves in the game. If you have room, this is the type of move that can let you outplay opponents and just get those +1s so you can actually win the game. Superpower's good. I've used it on all of these Pokemon at different points that can learn it. I've used it on Rhydon to check Snorlax switch-ins. It's pretty much just for Snorlax switch-ins. If you think they're going to switch in with Snorlax and you don't want them to set up or like yawn circle like you and stuff like that, just go for Superpower. It kind of works. It's not amazing, but on certain Pokemon, like the best one that can actually learn it has it, and that's Golem. So there you go. Surf, the Nidos can learn Surf. A lot of people actually don't think about that, but unfortunately don't really get that much out of it. Like a Nidoqueen Surf can one-shot a Golem or a Rhydon. That's okay, you know, it's not great. We got Taunt, like I said, both the Nidos can learn Taunt pretty good. Thunderbolt, Nidos can learn Thunderbolt, like, it's good, you know, like I said, special Nidos, you cannot sleep on them. They will eventually take some games off you if you don't respect their options. Will-O-Wisp, no one's learning it. U-Turn, I wish, oh, that'd be sick. Toxic, the two Pokemon that I recommended on are both the Nidos, and since they're poison, they can't miss their Toxic. Also note that Dugtrio, Sandslash, and Rhydon also are great Toxic users. You just have to make the correct set to use it correctly. Megahorn, like I said, Rhydon can get it. Note that, like, Nidoking can get it, but Nidoqueen can't get it. But Megahorn's great on all those options. Just the other day, I was laddering with, like, Executor, and, like, a Nidoking. I was fighting the Nidoking and was like, Bestie has his Ice Punch, and he just Megahorned me in the face, and I was like, oh my gosh, 4 times super effective. But you gotta watch out for Megahorn. Great move, 120 base, and it's one of the few 120 base moves that's, like, left in the game. They always try to, like, power scale those back. Obviously, like, Thunder, Fire Blast, those all used to be 120, and they've all been nerfed, so being able to have Megahorn still in the game, that's really, really good. So like I said, Thunder's like 110, you know, and the Nidos can learn it, so there you go. It's unfortunate none of these guys can actually learn Thunder Wave, otherwise I would highly recommend Thunder Wave, but, you know, that's just what it is. Can't learn Waterfall. Iron Tail, pretty good move. It's just that, like, who's going to use Iron Tail? Like, Nidoking? Nidoking Iron Tail versus, like, Aerodactyl, that might be something worth calculating, but I think you'd have to be adamant, and I don't recommend that. Same goes for, like, Nidoqueen, I don't really recommend it. But, for Rhydon, for example, like, you know, you Rock Slide one-shots Aerodactyl, so I don't really recommend the Iron Tail. Poison Jab's good on both the Nidos, because it's a stabbed move, so this would be, like, your strongest physical attack other than, Earthquake. So, if you really like Poison Jab, maybe, but I don't see a situation in which it's, like, meta. Bulk Up, no one's learning it, I wish. And, Dragon Tail. There you go. Nidoking can learn it, but like I said, like Golem. Wait, can Golem learn Iron Tail? No, it can't. I was gonna be like, that would be weird, but yeah. So like Golem can't learn Dragon Tail, so you know, that's the thing that sets Rhydon apart from a lot of these other things. So yeah, that is gonna be the list. Hopefully you guys liked it. As always, please, please, please leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought about the video. Let me know what type you want to see me work on next. We still have Flying, Rock, Dragon, Dark, Fairy, Steel. We have all those typings left. Let me know your top 5 list of ground types, maybe top 6 if you're feeling frisky the whole time. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, this is a return to form. We're relaunching this series. We're going to finish up all these, and then we're going to be getting on into, like, other types of top 5s. So if you guys want to see me do other top 5s, like top 5 best Stealth Rocks users, top 5 best walls, top 5 best sweepers, top 5 best gym leaders, whatever, you know, top 5 best starters, you know, I can do top 5s for pretty much all those things and still bring the same amount of, like, analytical goodness to them. So I want to say thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you have a good day, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.